All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 567 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're going to talk Georgia Southern because tomorrow it's going to be all NFL draft. You know, we're going to find out what the Falcons are going to do. I am planning on, and I don't know for sure, but I'm planning on making this a live stream event where I'll go live. And I'll try to pretty much do a live stream of the first 10, probably like the first 12 picks of the draft. Because I don't plan on being up too late to do all of the draft because I still work in the morning. So I will at least try to follow the first 10 to 12 picks to find out what the Falcons are going to do. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the draft. So with all of that's going on, I'm going to give love to the Georgia Southern Eagles, and I'm going to give you guys some insight, if you haven't been following Georgia Southern, just some insight on the transfers that came in that I think is going to make an immediate impact. So we're going to talk about these four guys, and trust me, there's more, but there's just going to be these four right here, and I'm leaning towards the offensive side, and then I'll talk about a few on the defensive side later on down the road. But right now, I am in love with these four guys that just made a name for themselves. As far as the transfer portal goes, we had a lot of guys that entered the transfer portal. I don't expect to see any of these four guys go after what has happened. After the spring game, guys tend to depart. But I think we're going to see these guys on the field and make, a big difference to what, this team can do, or the big difference in what the team was last year. And that's going to be some big shoes to fill. But we got some serious talent on this team. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I am also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Look, if you're on Spotify, I highly recommend you guys to go over there and give me a follow over there or subscribe over there to the Spotify side. I mean, it helps tremendously. I really appreciate it. I know I talk about that with the Apple group. The guys on the Apple, they're doing really good. So the guys on Apple, you guys are awesome. And I'm not taking nothing away from any other podcast avenues, but I want to see what the guys on Spotify can do, because that's like one of the main hubs of where the podcasts originate from, and it expands out to the other avenues. So hopefully you guys will support over there. I really appreciate it. Give this show a like if you're on YouTube or Rumble, and we will continue to keep it moving. And I want to thank you guys for the support. All right, first and foremost, I mean, the first guy we're going to talk about, you kind of know where I'm going. I mean, the guy who's going to be throwing the ball, the guy who's going to be distributing the ball to all of the weapons that we have on the field, and not just these guys that are on the screen. I'm actually talking about everybody, because we got a lot of talent. I mean, we're going to talk about some of those guys down the road. I mean, even true freshmen are coming out showing how well they can play. But Davis Brin, the transfer from Tulsa, looks really good in his offense. I mean, nothing really flashy, just very sound football play. I mean, dropped back the pass, had a couple of, rusty plays here and there, but for the most part, put a drive together and looked really good, driving for a touchdown on one drive. Also, you also have other players that are on the team that are, just pure pass catchers. These guys are very well put together. And with Davis Brin at quarterback, look like he's probably going to be QB1. He should be able to distribute the ball to, you're probably looking at like 6 or 7, maybe 8 or 9 different receivers. I mean, it's that deep with Georgia Southern. I mean, we're pretty much looking at last year on steroids or something, because what it looks like now, we just add more pieces, and adding the pieces of what I'm showing on the screen is going to continue. It's just going to show you guys what we have in order for this passing attack. Now, I know we got a good running game. The offense it looks really good, even though the defense did take hold in the spring game. We're going to talk about them down the road as well, but I like what I see with these guys. Davis Brin is going to be the guy that I feel that's going to make the initial impact. He's going to be the one that's going to, pretty much carry the torch, which Kyle Van Treese did last year. And it's going to look very good on the stat sheet. Hopefully it'll look really good on, on the field as well. Because, the numbers will say one thing, but you want to really look good on the field as well. Because you don't want to have numbers and it'd be like a bunch of garbage time points or garbage time, stats. We want them stats to be right on point with us winning football games. The second person I want to talk about is Anthony Quealy. He's the wide receiver from transfer from Syracuse. Pretty big, stout veteran receiver. I mean, he, veteran in college, played 3-4 plus years. This kid, 6'2", 190 plus, and I've seen him make some catches. He made a couple of catches that looked really good. Made one catch over Jalen Denton, which was pretty, rough for Denton. But overall, hold on, let me make sure that was right. Yeah, Jalen Denton. I mean, he caught a pass over Jalen Denton. It was pretty rough, but it looked really good offensively. And for the most part, the Georgia Southern Eagles have an excellent pass catcher with this receiver here. Big target. You got two guys that could be on the same page that's going to be able to, get some type of, chemistry going, throughout the season. Now, it's going to be pretty hard to get a chemistry because I got two other pass catchers that I'm going to be talking about in a second. But when you have guys who already been here, like a Durham Burgess, who look really good in the spring game, when you look at other guys like Caleb Hood, coming back for his final season, you still have Sam Kennerson out there. I'm not sure. I think J.J. McCaffrey's going to be still here. Bo Johnson. I mean, the list goes on of guys who are just pure athletes that can catch the ball. So when he coming in with Quealy coming in and he has all of this experience and he's going to be able to show guys how to play football on a different level because he played at a Power 5 school. It's going to be really interesting to see how he fits in with everyone else. But he looks like he's ready to go. And most of these transfers they're ready to go. So I expect him to make an immediate impact. Next person I want to talk about is Jalen Barton. Short, I ain't gonna say short, but he's shorter than Quealy. But he's a receiver from the University of Pitt. I think he's going to be a really nice speedster that you're going to be able to stretch the field with. I've seen some of his tape at Pittsburgh, and now you're starting to see what he can do here at Georgia Southern. He played in the spring game, had 5 catches for 35 yards. And for the most part, at 5'11", 175, he's going to be able to move the ball pretty well if the ball is in his hands. The main thing is to get the ball in his hands. Once he gets there, then things going to happen. Now, you got to also understand, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do this because, we got a lot of athletes, but he was actually pretty good on special teams, punt return and kick return. So is that going to be, something that he could do as well? You never know. Him and Caleb Hood back there is going to be really nasty, or him and O.J. Arnold back there is going to be something really nasty. I mean, it's going to be really hard. I mean, you don't know who to kick to. And if you do kick the one, they have the ability to take it all the way back. So definitely Jalen Barton should be immediate impact, especially if he's going to be on special teams. I know that sounds crazy, especially if he's going to be on special teams. But you know what I mean. If he be on special teams, he's going to be immediate and right away because you pretty much have a plethora of receivers already. And one thing that could get you playing time is really being good on special teams. And I know that's something that, we, Georgia Southern was always good at. We kind of shied away from it, but I think Coach Clay Helton is getting back to that, trying to get as many athletes on the field as possible. And I think that will work out tremendously. So I'm really a big fan of Jalen Barton. When he first transferred here, I was absolutely, ecstatic. He made some plays at Pittsburgh, catching the football from Kenny Pickett, saw what he was able to do. And for him to come back home and play for Georgia Southern, it's just going to be looking really nice for, Davis Brin or even Colton Fitzgerald, any of these guys to throw the football, to weapons like a Jalen Barton or Anthony Quealy or all the other guys I mentioned. Last but definitely not least, this guy jumped out at me when I watched the spring game. And he, it's hard to miss him. It's very hard to miss him. And this is going to be something that's probably going to be a pretty much a ongoing thing throughout the season. Because a guy like this, you just can't overlook. Standing at 6'7", 250 pounds, Keaton Upshaw, tight end transfer from Kentucky, comes to Georgia Southern And as soon as he hit the field in the spring game, made a name. I ain't gonna say made a name for himself, but you saw him immediately. That drive after another transfer that's on defense that we haven't talked about, Cam Williams recovered a fumble. I think I can't remember was it Kerryon Smith that caused the fumble? I just can't remember. I know you guys. I'm sorry, I'm just all over the place. But Kerryon Smith caused the fumble. He picks up the fumble, and I think they ended up, driving like 90-something yards. But those 90-something yards, Keaton Upshaw was like very, very involved in that, very much involved in that drive. I think he had like 2 or 3 catches, and I think he ended up catching the touchdown or something like that. It was a beautiful thing to see. I mean, you don't see guys like that on the field with that size and can move the way he moved, and coming from Kentucky to come here to play, and is no disrespect to any other guys that are on the team, but he just looked, he just stood out immediately. To me, it kind of seemed like how it was when, and I know that a lot of people look at me sideways when I say this, it kind of was similar to when Cam Ransom first got on the field with Georgia Southern, and he took the field and he scored that threw that touchdown pass. It was kind of like surreal because Georgia Southern, don't get me wrong, we get athletes, but to see somebody that size to actually move down the field and catch footballs, because Georgia Southern's was a run first team forever. That was a beautiful thing to see. And I'm like, yo, I need to see this in person. So absolutely. When we play the Citadel, who we play after that, I can't remember who we play after that. It doesn't matter. When we play the Citadel, I'm going to be there. I got to be there to see this in action because it's just unreal to see somebody wearing the blue and white, able to move like that at that size. And that's nothing to take away from anybody else. I mean, we haven't had a receiver like, Quealy in a long time. I mean, I can't even remember. I mean, Mike Mashad, number 23, it was here a while back. He was like 6'4" or something like that. He had a couple of other big receivers that played, but they didn't. It wasn't catered to them to move the way or play football or run routes or catch footballs like these guys are doing. So the immediate impact basically is going to be in the passing game. You already know what you're getting out of O.J. Arnold. Did you see what he did in the spring game? You know what you're going to get out of Jalen White. These guys are going to be able to, put some work in. It is what it is. We're going to run the ball pretty well, especially when you can stretch the defense with these guys. Defensively, we're going to touch on the defense probably next week because I'm actually impressed how well the Cam Williams, the Kerryon Smiths, the Andrew Douglas, who had the pick six, Jack Ferguson had an interception. All those guys who was able to get at the football and tackle, Chase Down Watson. I mean, guys who did a phenomenal job of actually, getting at the ball carrier, getting at the quarterback, or tackling, because we had a problem with tackling last year. It looks like it's not going to be a problem this year. So we're going to get into that, and just to see what these guys are going to be doing right away as far as immediate impact is going to be absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see what these guys do, in the next few months. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button if you're on the video side of things. If you're on the podcast side, if you're on Apple, hit that 5-star rating. Let people know what we're doing over here. It expands the channel when you give a rating. It expands the channel when you hit the like button. Also on Spotify, subscribe over there. It also helps expand, and it gets more eyes on this type of exposure to talk about Georgia Southern, to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, to talk about, this type of content in the manner that I'm doing. I feel I try to be as unique as possible making this content, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, let people know, share it, subscribe. The more subscribers, the more that it will, or follow. The more followers or more subscribers, it expands the channel. And you want your name or you want your team out there on so more people can see. That's the best way to do it. So I'm going to get up out of here. Hopefully you guys have a phenomenal Wednesday night. We're going into Thursday. We're going to talk about the draft. I'm going to try to make that a live stream where we all could mingle and talk about the first 8 to 10 to 12 picks. And we're going to see what the Falcons are going to do. All right, y'all, I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.